I've been on the hold for this book on Libby for like my entire life. Well, like a few months, but you know what I mean. Today's the day. Y'all, my hold on Libby is finally up. Finally. Hey guys, it's Avery. Welcome back to my channel. For those of you who have never been here before, welcome. Glad you're here. In today's video, I'm so excited because I'm going to be doing a reading vlog of All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. I don't even know if I'm saying his name correct. Doerr. But I'm very excited because I finally have this book on my Kindle, All the Light We Cannot See. I've been waiting for it for forever, and I'm really excited to read it. So that is going to be the subject of this vlog. This book is kind of scary to me because I really get afraid when books are really hyped up. And like, you don't get much more hyped up than the Pulitzer. Think about all the books that come out, all the fiction books that come out, and this one gets the Pulitzer for fiction. And it's like, okay. The average Goodreads ranking is 4.32, which is incredibly high out of 1.2 million people. I try not to let reviews like that, get in my way of what I think the book is going to be like. But I mean, basically, I feel like it's supposed to be the best book I've ever read, so I'm trying not to get my expectations up too high, but I'm very excited to read it. So this book is about a girl, French girl, named Marie-Laure, who lives in Paris near the Museum of Natural History. And when she's 12, the Nazis occupy Paris, and her dad flee to the walled city of Saint-Malo, where her reclusive uncle lives in a tall house by the sea. With them, they carry what might be the museum's most valuable and dangerous jewel. And then we also have Werner in a mining town in Germany who grows up in an orphanage with his younger sister, and he loves the radio, and he's super good at fixing up radios and knowing how they work. So he is enlisted to use his talent to track down the resistance. It says, deftly interweaving the lives of Marie-Laure and Werner, Doerr illuminates the way against all odds people try to be good to one another. Okay, sounds good, sounds good. I am hoping that it lives up to the hype. I've talked about recently on my channel, have been enjoying books about World War II. I feel like that time was just insane, and it's kind of hard to comprehend the Nazis, really, and the Holocaust, and just Germany taking over all of Europe. I've been enjoying books about people who were strong and like lived through stuff like that. Even though this is fiction, I still think that these stories are really good. And so I'm also have that kind of, level of hype on me because the past 3 books that I've read about World War II have all been 5-star reads. So I'm hoping this one lives up. Anyway, I'm gonna get reading. It's a nice day outside. We have a hammock on our balcony, my roommates and I. I'm probably gonna lay in that and do some reading. Keep you guys updated as I'm going throughout and, what I think. Update time. I'm about 10% of the way through the book. Really enjoying it so far. I really like Doerr's writing style, and he does really great, like, beautiful descriptions of things without being too much. I think that's a really important balance that some writers do or don't understand, is like how to describe something to get the feeling to come through without doing too much or without doing too little. And he's doing enough. So that's pretty dope so far. One thing I also really like is that all of the little chapters are pretty short because we're going back and forth between Marie and Werner. So it's just like a few pages and then we switch to the other one, and then a few pages and then we switch to the other one. And I really like that. There's something about like really short chapters that keep my attention really well. I'm trying to think of other books that have done that. The Silent Patient is a good one that does really short chapters, and I can't think of any other books, but I think that's a great way to write. And obviously not all books can follow that format, but when they can, love it. Love to see it.
Something else about this book that's pretty interesting is that I think it took him like 10 years to write it. I remember reading that, and that's insane. Like, think about 10 years of your life to write a book. That's kind of goes with the pressure of this needing to be really good. If you have 10 years to like fine-tune something, I assume it's going to be top-notch. And so far, I'm really enjoying it.
Just an update for today. I'm at 25%, which is pretty good. This is a long book, so I feel confident about that, you know? I'm making my way through it. And I'm enjoying it. I wouldn't say it's like the best thing I've ever read, but it's definitely keeping my attention where I just like keep reading. But I'm kind of interested to see if there's like some major turning point. Maybe the turning point is when the two of them finally like meet each other, since we follow their stories separately. It's kind of like we're just following Marie as leading up to and during the bombing, as well as Werner leading up to and during the bombing, which has all been fine so far. Like, I'm enjoying it. It's not like it's bad or anything. But I'm kind of like wondering what's gonna happen, you know? Like, what's gonna happen. That's my update for tonight. Good night. We're all reading. Hey you guys, I want to hit y'all with a bit of a reading update. So I am 65% of the way through All the Light We Cannot See. Let me tell you, it's a long book. And so I'm 65% of the way through and I'm getting a little weary. I'm not good with books that are over like 350 pages because I'm very impatient and I'm like just ready for the ending. But this one hasn't been super bad. I definitely think that the setup of the chapters being really short and switching between Marie, Werner, and then the other German guy, the guy who's looking for the diamond, is really helpful because by the time I get, you know, kind of not sick of, it's not the right word, but like by the time I'm done reading about one part, it'll switch to a different character and then a different time period. And so I'm really liking how it's going back and forth between the bombing, right after the bombing, and then to the years leading up to that, back and forth, because things are hinted at that are then, you know, happen later, or something's gonna happen later that you know about. And so that's really interesting. I kind of have like a weird relationship to this book because I'm like interested and I keep reading it and I keep wanting to read it, but I'm also not like incredibly obsessed with it. I'm kind of just like, this is good. It's a good story. I, you know, want to know what happens next. It's keeping me intrigued, but I'm not blown out of the water so far. And like I said, I'm 65% of the way through. If I were to just rate it right now, I'd probably just give it like 4 stars. It's not really a 5-star book for me yet. Sometimes with books, I will only think they're just okay up until the very end, and if an ending is really, really good, then it'll like bump it up to 5 stars for me. So maybe that'll happen here. I think that Anthony Doerr is a really good author. I think he does a good job of describing things really well and making kind of simple but profound statements about things without feeling like he's trying to do that really hard. But he's just doing a good job of like kind of commenting on human nature. Having the perspective of Werner is really good because it gives you some sympathy for the Germans, because it's so easy to just like villainize the Germans, every single German from World War II. But a lot of them were just like kids, like Werner, who happened to be born in Germany and literally just had to follow orders. So it's interesting to kind of have his perspective of he like knows deep down what's going on is wrong, but he also like wants to stay alive because he has a sister. And so that, I think that's like an important part. Anyway, those are my thoughts right now. I'm enjoying it. I think that's kind of the main thing. I'm enjoying it. I'm not blown out of the water quite yet, but I also like it's good. Back to reading. It's almost midnight and I'm gonna keep reading because I'm getting through it. I'm getting through it. Okay? Okay, you guys, I finished All the Light We Cannot See. I'm here on this pier, dock, a little too close to the edge maybe, so if I lose my balance, we'll have a fun blooper. But I thought that this was just a nice setting to talk about the, final opinions and thoughts I had on this book. I'm gonna start this review with a spoiler-free version so that if you haven't read this book, you can watch my review of it and see if you're interested in it. So I stand by what I said earlier, that I really enjoyed it, but I'm not sure that it was so amazing as it was hyped up to be. I gave it 4 stars for my final rating, which is like, I give good books 4 stars, so it means it was good. Like I said, I had high expectations, so I might have just been expecting it to be a lot more than what it was. But that being said, there's still nothing about the book that I really disliked. I really liked the focus on the 2 different children growing up during the war, how they were both extremely different, but both going through really hard things. Like I said, I did like how he painted the German children in a sympathetic light, because, it wasn't like all of Germany that was just like, boo, horrible. A lot of them were literally just children being forced to fight for, Hitler. So I really appreciated that part of the book, and that we got to see that other side. One thing I think that Anthony Doerr does a really good job at is describing things simply but also very well, so it doesn't feel like you're being just hit with like an onslaught of like descriptions and it's just so much, but he does a really good job of describing environments and animals, basically everything that Marie experiences, especially because she's blind. She experiences things in a different way, and the colors that she associated with everything that she felt and saw, that was really cool. I enjoyed the relationships between a lot of the characters. I enjoyed the relationship between Werner and Volkheimer, between Marie and her father, Marie and her uncle, Marie and Madame Manek. Like, all of those relationships were all really sweet. Not that the ending was disappointing, but it didn't really culminate in one giant kind of plot twist or big event. But I think that's fine. Maybe I was expecting something like really intense to happen. So yeah, overall I would say it's a really well written book. All the characters you just cared about, and you literally just wanted them all to be happy. So I think that it's a really kind of well-rounded book. Didn't blow my mind, but I also, I would recommend it to somebody. Okay, now I'm gonna move on to a bit of a spoilery section. I'm gonna talk about some specific things. Werner's death was incredibly sad. I didn't cry a lot in this book, and I feel like that's one of the factors that indicates, there's a spider on me. I will say, if a book makes me cry, is usually a factor that indicates that I care a lot about the characters and what's going on. I did tear up a bit at the end of the book. It wasn't like sobbing, but I shed a few slight tears, and one of them was with Werner's death. It was just extremely tragic, but also very simple in the way that it happened. Just him stepping on a landmine, and in your head I'm like, okay, wait, could he have survived? And I'm like, no, he stepped on a landmine. Plus he was really sick anyway, so he might have died anyway. But that was incredibly tragic, and that definitely got me. But I also thought was very representative of so many young boys during World War II. So I appreciated that detail, even though it was sad. It's funny because when you read books like this, you can't not hope that it's gonna end well. You'll just be hoping okay, is Marie gonna reunite with her father at the end of the book? That would just be amazing. And I literally held out hope until the very end that might happen. And unfortunately, when it doesn't happen, it's just sad, but it's also realistic of what actually happened during that time. So I understand that it's important, but it's also kind of ugh, I was hoping, like I was just hoping maybe they would find their way back to each other, because their relationship was so cute and so pure, and I just loved that father-daughter relationship. But then I also appreciated, not to say that he took the place of her father, but Marie helps Etienne so much. Their bond really becomes that of a father-daughter relationship, and so I was glad that they were able to kind of like live out the rest of his life together, which was, you know, a sweet part of the book that I really appreciated. And then when Werner saves Marie, I thought that was a really kind of good full circle moment. All of the three characters come together that we follow, the sergeant, Werner, and Marie. You know, it feels like Werner's kind of able to make right with all the things that he's done by saving Marie, even though he doesn't, you know, he doesn't know any better. He just knows that his country's at war. But in our eyes, you know, he's kind of able to atone for what he's done by saving Marie and going against his country. So I really appreciated that part of it, and their interactions were really like sweet. And, you know, once again, you just hope that they'll both make it through so they can reunite in the future. And doesn't end up that way, kind of depressing. But like I said, I think every death and every choice was representative of real life, so I think that Anthony Doerr did a good job with that. So yeah, overall, I would say it was a really well-written book, a really interesting story, and then I think the title is a really great title, All the Light We Cannot See. Anthony Doerr said that part of that comes from radio waves being, you know, on the spectrum of light that we cannot see, and radio was such a huge part of the story, and the ability to like communicate with other people and have other people be with you when you're not near them was obviously a big part of the story. And he said that was one of the big driving motivators of writing the novel, as well as I read that he also said that that was part of the title, but then the other title is kind of like all the stories that you don't hear about, you know, stories about World War II and people from this time, that there's like literally just millions of them and you would never know. There's someone coming towards the dock, I'm afraid. Don't mind me, just a bit of a location change for my outro, but those are all my thoughts on this book. I enjoyed it and would recommend it to anyone who enjoys historical fiction, even though it didn't blow me out of the water, maybe like I was expecting, just because I had extremely high expectations. So maybe that's a life lesson. Keep your expectations low, people. Just kidding. Keep your expectations high. You deserve the best. But thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more videos from me. Also, feel free to follow me on Instagram. I just recently made an Instagram page. If you followed me on my old one, I had a bunch of problems with it. It locked me out and I literally couldn't get into it for months, but I finally got into it and deleted it and started a new one. So starting from scratch, but make sure to follow me on Instagram if you want to keep up with me there. Comment down below if you have read this book and what your thoughts were. Thanks again for watching. I will see you in my next video. Bye.